Hi teachers, and welcome back to Lesson Gems. My name is Brother Lammers. I'm going to be covering the lesson for Thursday, January 25th, or on your pacing guide, the lesson that is Assess Your Learning number 1. I love these, and I'm gaining a greater appreciation for these awesome Assess Your Learning lessons. As teachers, it is impossible for us to cover all the materials. If we live up here in the Midwest, I'm sure that we've had weather considerations. We started as a new year, and we haven't had a chance to cover every single day. So please don't think as teachers that you have to cover everything. You are not the sole source of light and knowledge in their life. I know that you are a great one. But please do not feel that it is your obligation or your assignment or your calling to cover every single thing. These Assess Your Learning lessons are to help you to cover some of the principles that you may have missed or to re-emphasize those important principles. Let me share with you a couple of things that I'm going to do as I teach this Assess Your Learning lesson. Number 1, the intent of this lesson is right here. It's to help students assess goals, to go over their ability to explain what they've already learned, or how their attitudes, desires, and abilities help them to live or to change. Meaning, this is a quick assessment to help our students know if what we're doing is helping them to be more deeply converted to Jesus Christ. How are we seeing it? What are they doing? So number 1, if you have not had an opportunity to sit down with your students to talk about their personal reading goals of the Book of Mormon, please emphasize this portion of the lesson. Make that your first priority. That is going to be the most important thing that you can do with these Assess Your Learning lessons, especially this first one. Help your students know and help them and give them tools on how they can set personal reading goals. If you have an opportunity, please check out the link to this document below in the description. This is a possible way to sit down with a student one-on-one and to go over how to have an effective 3 to 5 minute chat with your student and helping them establish a personal reading goal in the Book of Mormon. Again, that's in the description below. If you've had an opportunity to go over their personal reading goals, let me offer you an idea. In conjunction with the rest of the curriculum and questions here, I will put the link to this document in the description below as well. And let me model for you how I use this. I've gone through and I've grabbed all of the bolded or emphasized principles in all of the lessons that you should have taught thus far. They're right here on this document. I love them. When you go through them, you're like, dang, this is so good. What I'm going to do with my students is I want them to know that the first 14 chapters within the Book of Mormon truly teach who Jesus Christ is, his characteristics, and his attributes. It emphasizes Jesus Christ. So what I want to do is I want to hand this out to them or have it up on a screen. The physical document doesn't really matter. But if they have these references right up here, I'm going to give them 3, 4, 5 minutes first. I want them to read the reference, and if they have not written down the bolded principle next to the verses, please give them a time to do that right now. I'm going to give them just a couple of minutes. Go ahead, write these down. If it's paper, show them how to do it on paper. Open your scriptures and model for them. Let's go to 1 Nephi chapter 1. Chapter 1, verses 5 through 15. In verses 5 through 15, we read that God calls prophets to warn of consequences in sin and to testify of Christ. So I'm going to put this in right here in my scriptures. I'm going to put that right there next to that verse. And if it's on their scriptures in their phone, please help them know how to use the notes function. So here I am in 1 Nephi. I'm going to open it up, and I'm in 1 Nephi chapter 1. I'm going to highlight those verses, and once I highlight those verses, you'll see that this little menu pops up right there, and you can hit note, and they can write a note next to the verses that they need to. So model that for them. After modeling for them how to use side margins or to write down cross-references and to take notes, I want them to go through and I want them to ask these questions. I want to show the class that what it would look like to approach principles listed above. So after we do this, we're going to go over verses 5 through 15 together, and I want to ask these questions with them. As I open the assigned reference, and I've already written them down, what does this principle teach about Jesus Christ's character and attributes? Meaning, what does it teach us about Christ to know that he calls prophets to warn and to testify warn of sin, and to testify of himself, Jesus Christ, as our God. What does that teach you about him that he does that? Then one way that I like to do this is I like to have them give one-word answers. Sometimes students kind of don't feel confident in expressing themselves clearly, but they can give it to you in a one-word answer. They start to know and understand this principle. They start to appreciate it. Give me one-word answer that describes who Jesus Christ is because you know and understand this principle now. With that one-word answer, they can go forward. Are there specific blessings for those who try to live these characteristics or attributes? Where does Jesus Christ model this in his ministry? I'm going to take a time out. Where else did he specifically, while he was with them, either in the New Testament or 3rd Nephi, where does he model calling and emphasizing prophets? Why do you think these characteristics, any of these attributes were emphasized? And as we go through these lists, we start to go through and we see, as we model this first one together, that God calling prophets is amazing, that it truly testifies of Jesus Christ, and it helps warn of the consequences of sin. And so we see this and we feel it, and it's great. And we start to see, what does the Book of Mormon teach about Jesus Christ? After we've modeled that very first one together, please give them time and invite them to choose 2 to 3 on their own. As they go through these on their own, because they already know what we're expecting them to do, because we did it together first, they can have an opportunity to ask these questions about principles that they have been studying within the first couple of weeks of studying the Book of Mormon. Help emphasize that the Book of Mormon teaches who Jesus Christ is. These Assess Your Learning lessons are powerful to help us as teachers, but especially our students, to help them know that what we are doing is learning about who Jesus Christ is and deepening our conversion to him. Teachers, you are incredible. I love being with you, and I hope that these things can help you as you teach your lessons this week.